You ready?
I'm ready. Wherever you are.
So Luc Léger, my boss, Chief Operating Officer, doing it at a really young age. Like, how does that feel?
Pretty overwhelming a little bit at sometimes, but it's...
You do it well, though. Like,
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. But, like, you know, where... I guess, like, did you ever think you were going to be, like, in this position? Like, was there, like... Because I remember, like, you know, we went to university together, and it's like, you know, you go to university and you know, you were in business, I was in political science, and it's like, I'm sure there was, like, was there a moment where you were like, you know, okay, you know what, like, the family business, like, you know, you obviously worked in the home hardwares and all that, like... Yeah,
I mean, you always, when you're born, they almost say, oh, he's going to be the guy, this is the one, right? Or he's the girl, or whatever it is, right? And you always back your mind, you say, well, it's always there if you want it to, if you really want it, right? So the biggest thing is, you know, everybody says, you know, they always relate to you to home hardware, they always relate to you to, you know, what the business is. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're just, it comes, you know, you're always, it's in the background of your mind, but you don't always want to, you don't know until you know, I guess, right? And then at the end of the day, you're just, you know, you go every day by day, and then you get this aha moment that, like, hey, this is what I really want to do, and you really enjoy what you like. So
what age did you, like, let's say, like, off the record, start working in the stores?
Off the record? No, officially on payroll at 15, but I remember in 2001, so that would have been 10 for sure, like what I can remember. We were building our second store, a Dieppe store, and Dad gave me a price gun and gave me some sandpaper, and he says, price away, and then put the tags on it. And I mean, sandpaper, have you ever opened a box of sandpaper? There's like 50 per pack. And it just, you know, it's a tough job. So, you know, it's a fun one. It was a good one.
And it's crazy, like, you've, like, you know, from 2001 to, you know, 2023, you must have seen, like, how the business is, like, obviously grown in employees and grown in how many stores we have, which is great. But, like, you know, just looking at, like, a price gun to, you know, using iPhones on the, or sorry,
iPhones, iPads.
We're thinking about iPads on the floor. Like, would you ever think that it would get to that point where, like, we would get to, you know, you being in place and having all that technology in place? Or
not back in 2001, that's for sure. But I mean, you always, as you keep going, you see, like, you know, Dad investing in more technology, probably trying to get me a bit more motivated or excited to say, like, hey, you know, there's opportunity here, and there's new tools, and, like, there's cool stuff. It's not, we don't have to stay in the, you know, in the 80s. It's good for us to keep going and moving forward and trying to keep going into the 2000s, 2010s, and 20s and keep going, right? So, and who else? Maybe, you know, if my kids want to look at it, it's there. You know, it could be there for them as well. Like if they have the interest the same as I do, and who knows what's going to be when we have it there, right? Like who knows? AI, you get robotics, you can get, you know, etc. Right? And that's probably even we're really light years ahead, but it's who knows what could be, you know. So
And who would have thought that, like, you know, and you probably could call your dad right now and be like, hey, Dad, we're doing a podcast there. Who would have thought that we would be doing something like that?
Yeah, he's probably shaking his head for sure, because remember the time that me and you asked him that we want to cut traditional media and go full digital? That was
coming into my office. He was like, you know, you can't forget the, you know, who put us in, like, who's been supporting us all these years.
You always got to look ahead and don't forget what's going to be, who's the next customers that are coming in, right? So
he must have been like, just like, you know, like, who the hell is this kid coming in, and, like, who did Luc hire here? And, and at the time, you know, like, when I got hired, it was like the time that, like, he goes to Florida, and, like, he's there for you know, maybe a month, like, during the Christmas time, and then he comes back, and it was like, all right, this is Alvin. Hello, how's it going?
Exactly. I was definitely those slower months are always, like, you always got to watch the business and make sure that, you know, things are in line and things are top of mind. And, you know, I remember him telling me that when him coming and saying, I had to go ask Mom and say, he wants this amount of money for a video. Like, does that make sense? Like, like, I don't know how much people is like a video like this, you know, it's pretty big. So, and I think after a while, once you've seen the quality and what it could do and generate, and obviously where we are today, Obviously, I think the growth that we've had, that obviously played a big part. So congratulations. And I mean, end of the day, it's it's good to have the vision and to push it. But I think it's incredible where my grandmother would have started with a newspaper or just a sign on the side of the road, right? Very basic stuff. And now we're doing videos. You can reach millions of people across the world if you want to, right? Or certain people or targeted people. So it's not just about really focusing on your local company, but your local community. Yeah. But then being able to really broadcast it to communities that are 2 hours out, 3 hours that they do come shop in this town, and we have different stuff that maybe their community doesn't have that they can come shop at our house, right?
And you got so much more opportunity to connect with a variety of people too, right? Because it's like coming back to what you were saying about Marie putting a billboard sign up or just a small sign on the road or sending a newspaper out. It's like there's editing that goes into it, there's publication, they put it on a billboard, it's there for a month, you've got one message. That's it, right?
That's it.
Like we're here, we're posting 2-3 times a day. We've got messaging that's tailored for an 18-year-old, or you've got messaging that's or an image that's more tailored to like a DIYer, right? And that's only possible if you do it that way. And that's like, like I've only brought up the ideas and I've had this vision and I took your guys's your company and wanted to just broadcast to the world that it's like one, a place to shop at, two, it's trustworthy people and it's a great business to work for, and three, I think that versus our competition, like we're doing a lot of better things that I think are especially in line with what the community wants, right? Like the brand has always been about providing advice, providing the tips in stores, and if you have a leaky faucet or whatnot, like someone will tell you how to fix it versus just saying like aisle 26, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's like, you guys still trusted me to do it, right? It takes someone to be like, hey, you know what? Like, we trust in it, and but it's a team effort, right?
It's a team effort. You got to take a leap of faith sometimes, and you just try to weigh out your options, and if if the stars align, it makes sense, and you think you're down the right path, I mean, jump and say how high, right?
Yeah. So how's now you have 3 kids now, so
kids.
Tell me, which one is your favorite and why is it the boy?
I can't comment on that one. That's not a great answer. Great question. That's a pretty hard question to answer, but no, I think they're all a little bit. They're all 3 of them are different in their own little ways, and as they keep growing, you can see that they're really they're full of life, and they're just there are a lot of great memories that we're having right now with them and experiences. We try to bring them on in everything that we do. Really, try to have we obviously we need babysitters once in a while. Mom and dad got to get away, but
they probably enjoy it though.
They enjoy it. It's a different it's a different feel, and when the grandparents on both sides are around, they're always really happy, super helpful when they can, and but they're just they're all a little different. 2 girls and a little boy, so that's enough. That's enough. We're good with that. I think done. Anyway, it's done.
One of them is gonna be the successor.
I mean, we could call them almost COVID babies, because during COVID, we were either working at the store or taking care of the family, right? That's all we could do. So it was a good time in Andre and I's life to really look back and say, okay, I think we're ready for we already have kids. We were together for a while, so. And
you guys have always been into boating, and the kids love it, eh?
Yeah, big boaters. So we're definitely like to travel boating, and I grew up into it. My dad was a big boater, so you're just. All we do right now is summers every weekend. We try to take advantage of it. As long as they're comfortable, we're comfortable. Yeah. So we do make the best out of it, and it's short, it's hard, but when Sunday night comes around, you feel pretty fulfilled your weekend,
tired,
and you're tired, and thank God you got a good team back at the store on Monday morning. They can keep you motivated.
You're not lucky like me, where I get to go home and it's quiet and there's nothing really going on.
That's right.
And I can kind of pick and choose what I do. But it does get lonely, so don't. The grass isn't green on the other side.
No, I appreciate that. No, it's good.
I'm gonna ask you a question, because I'm sure that it's something that whether it's myself or anyone in the company or anyone outside of it, do you have any plans for the Elmwood store? Do you think we're going to move at one point, or what's
the famous question for many years? I think the old Elmwood store, I still like it. I love it. I still enjoy the history, the generations that shop there still
It has
today.
that, like,
you walk in the store and you see, like, I seen somebody last week. I worked with her my first year. Coming to the store, still coming, 15, 20 years, 15 years later, still coming, like, hey, I worked here, and having that joy and that passion of it. And it's that old hardware store
it's
feel,
got that vibe,
right? It's got that vibe.
It's hard to replicate.
Yeah, it's not a big box store. It's, nook and crannies. You'll find about anything and everything in there. There's things in there that's been there for years. And we try to obviously always clear out our old stock. But some stuff, it's just, it's like that one odd item that, boom, somebody needs, and it fixes them up, and it makes him or her day, right?
I'll tell you what, though, like, it's very hard to replicate. And I was in Revelstoke over the winter, and I went to the Revelstoke Home Hardware, and it's like a really small kind of nook and cranny style, and it's like you see those, they don't have any building supplies, nothing, but it's like
just
2
a
or
hardware
3 aisles, and it's those little like things that you would never find anywhere else. One day somebody's gonna come in and pick it up, right? So
exactly. So it's. I mean, it's definitely in the plans. I mean, where we're sitting here today is we're right on the street where our plans we want to do.
Yeah.
It's just there's always hoops and valleys you have to go through to get projects done. But it's still very profitable store, and the community likes it. The staff still enjoy it. We still do our day-to-day business. So it's definitely in the future plans. But I don't know. I can't give you an exact date because I wish I had one. But it's definitely I think it's definitely on the horizon for sure.
Do you think they were gonna do like in my mind, I think we're sitting in one of the newer stores that we had, the Design Centre, which is a whole different experience. Do you think, like, looking at a new store, you're gonna look to maybe shift how maybe it looks or the feel, or are we gonna obviously maybe involve some new technologies?
Yeah, I mean, retail has definitely changed over the years, especially with COVID. I mean, we've seen how we can really shop online and shop remote or curbside pickup, etc. Right? But we still need that people feel, right? And that's what home's about, right? So it's really about having that human connection and being able to have somebody to reach out when you go into the store, and somebody that's really interested in your project, that really wants to be passionate about what you're actually doing at home, right? And I think retail more and more also needs to be more of an experience. It's not just a big box in a warehouse feel. I mean, there's that place for that. But I think we're more in that experience feel, because you come see people, you come talk about your project, what you're building here. You're hands-on. What are you doing? And
you can't
and
lose
I think
that, right?
and like you said, like, I think it's new technologies. I mean, Home Hardware is always looking at new technologies, innovating and getting better. And every time we go to homecoming in the fall, we always see new stuff.
That's
I mean,
my first experience this year.
Exactly. So it was, you've seen it. So there's always new things that are coming around. I like the feel of the Bass Pro feel. I think that's I like when you walk in that store, that experience. I mean, that's you're talking like, oof, that's really out there. But I think we can find a hybrid between that. Maybe more of a wood building style building, and really feeling that
like in Quebec and stuff like that.
You can feel like you're in a hardware store feel, and not just in a big box. So I think it's kind of that welcoming feel that you can go somewhere, and it's an experience for the kids as much as as an adult, right?
And I think we've talked about it quite a few times, and it comes with some frustration sometimes, and I think it's because, like, both you and I, we share a lot of the same thoughts on technologies and being on the forefront of what our competitors are doing, but like something like live inventory, right? Like being able to go online and see, like, okay, there's 3 of this in aisle 17, like that would be something that would be like so great to have. But we've talked about this a few times, and it's
but we have people, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, as long as you make sure that your employees are top of mind, making sure that people are there, and they when they greet a customer, they're dope what they're doing, and they really focus on what can they do to help, right? And then try to go the extra mile to make that dream come true, or that project come through.
I guess one thing to ask on that is, like, what do you think about, like, because more and more, like, it's difficult to find good employees. There's turnover and whatnot, and I think with COVID, it's changed a lot of people's perception about what work is and where they do it. So a lot of remote work and stuff like that. What do you think about, like, putting in, like, automated caches? Like, how does, like...
I mean, I think there's automatic caches, there's definitely room for it. I think there's an area for it from the hardware side, but I think when you like on the hardware side of the business, there's always two sides, right? We have our hardware and our contractor. So when we have our hardware, I think the automation part, you could, look on that and say, okay, well, everything has a barcode more or less in a package. Pretty well, self-explanatory. So you could use it on that side, but definitely on the contractor side or that contractor desk, builder's desk, that probably has to be more of a tailored business.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe have like a unit on the side that you could have like a, when you walk into the McDonald's, those quick, how many 2x4s, how many 2x6s, and it prints you out an order. But if you're really looking for an estimate or trying to find what type of color siding you want to put on, what kind of color composite decking you have, etc., you really want to try to make sure that you have that conversation with somebody I think that knows the business and really is there tailored for your project.
So like on the contractor side, like obviously like that's like for people that don't know, like this is obviously a major part of our business. Like how are you feeling? Like today they announced like the interest rates going up a little bit. Like what are you sensing like in terms of maybe the next 12 months, 18 months? Like how do you think that's gonna because we're feeling it a little bit right now in the short term. Like summer is the busier part. And the weather's not been cooperative and stuff like that, but it's maybe a little bit slower. So
the weather definitely you can't always blame the weather. You always have to look at yourself and say, okay, what can I do internally to am I doing everything right that I can internally? Are we doing all those little things that gets you to the big goals, right? So but I mean interest rates they're always going to go up, they're always going to go down, and the people that will want to build will build anyways, right? At the end of the day, those are the ones that we have a lot of people right now. We're fortunate that Atlantic Canada has always been that call that little gold mine, I guess, that no one ever really knew, and I think are really moving back here. We're seeing a lot, and affordable housing to a degree that in a country on a national scale that it is affordable housing. Not saying for the locals. It's definitely more of a challenge because everything has gone up. And
not a lot of stuff's available either.
Exactly, right? And so the market is definitely what's available. The market for housing has been more challenged to find what you're exactly looking for. But I think it's still we're seeing a lot of multi units going in. We opened up our commercial division. As our company, as you know. So we're just dabbling into that right now. We always had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, but I think right now we really want to have 2 feet in because we want to make sure that when our customers shop at our store that we are that one-stop shop, that we can help them from all angles and try to help them and make sure that they, it's a very simple process that they, when they talk to the same person, and if that staff member doesn't know what they have, well, guess what? There's resources from designers to paint experts to estimating experts to delivery experts. You know what I mean? And they can reach out to within the internal of the company to make sure that customer has the answer that he's looking for versus that customer going to 6 to 8 different places.
I guess it's we've talked about a few of the things that involve in our business, but obviously our industry is, I think it's still growing. Construction is a hot commodity. It's like someone that maybe is coming from high school, or maybe he's like going into 12th grade or anything like that, is like, whether it's in your position being a leader or it's getting into the construction, do you have any advice for like someone that would do that? Like
I think when you're in school, I think when I was in school, we had we would do birdhouses. We'd buy pine board. We wouldn't do a whole lot. I mean, the budgets were cut. All the trades budgets were cut back then, unfortunately. So
I know they
were really pushing. Right? They were really pushing more, professional, university, etc. Which it is what it is. And I think now they've realized the shortage of labor that it has caused in a trade market that at the end of the day that's what makes the economy go around, and we have to make sure that there's no trades, nothing can get built, the product won't be sold.
And there's a lot of people that are retiring in the last couple of years.
Exactly. So
a lot of contractors in that position there.
So what we've done, and obviously we've seen that the government has noticed that they've started putting a bit more focused on the schools programs and stuff. I remember 5 years ago, an old teacher that my old French teacher and I would. He came up to me and we came with a project, and he says, we're going to start building baby barns. and picnic tables, just to try to get a little bit more bigger projects to really do like, a baby barn is pretty much an entire house without the electrical plumbing and insulation, right? So you touch pretty much the frame and cutting and all those cool tools, and it really got more and more, kids and students back into that flow of things. Not just building a little birdhouse from and
and
seeing.
we helped them out with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we would give them the materials and give them all those tools to drop off the lumber, and then we pick back up, and then we would just sell it for what it costs, just to get back, get somebody in the community a good deal on a baby barn. It was just a plain white baby barn, nothing fancy, but it would help the kids out building it, maybe getting them into the trades, and then being able to pass the saving on to somebody in the community that needed a baby barn in their backyard. So all those programs that's important for long-term longevity of the industry, right? So I would say, if anybody could jump in, grab at least one trade course when you're in high school. You have it's a great skill to have. Or come work at a hardware store, and we'll show you everything.
But you know what? Even we've talked about it a few times. It's like, man, imagine just having the peace of mind of doing deliveries during the day, being in the yard and all that, clocking in at 7 o'clock, leaving at 4 o'clock. And
miss those days. Those great days.
You're done with it. That's it. That's all. Obviously there's the frustrations and stuff at work, but just the clock in, clock out kind of thing. It's wouldn't that be nice sometimes?
Yeah, but those but those people, they do a lot, right?
And it's not to discredit that.
Not at all. They do so much, and you know what? It's
I think what I'm trying to say is more so you carry that weight on your shoulders every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you do it.
When you enjoy what you do, you feel you're carrying anything though, right? Yeah. So there's always a certain thing in the back of your mind. You want to make sure that you're able to. You have a payroll to give out, because there's a lot of people that are waiting for that every 2 weeks that are waiting for that check to come in, and they have responsibilities and they have commitments to make sure that they can either pay their bills, put food on the table, have a roof under to live in. And I guess that's how I don't think about the dollar amounts. I think making sure I don't look at it the dollars amounts that. I got to get that dollar amount in 2 weeks to make sure. I look at what do I need to do to make sure that dollar amount's there. Yeah. Right? And just what are the behaviors that we have to do, the efficiency, the new products, the new tools, how do we engage more customers, and the rest will come, right? Yeah. So I think it's just one of those things that, so I try not to put too much focus on, because it can be overwhelming at times on, looking at all that. But I think just by growing up into the business and just seeing, Dad leading the way he led and really did the right things, he was a good mentor and showing me, how to really think about those things and how to really see those things in a certain mindset, that it's not too overwhelming, but it's a big commitment. Yeah, and whether it comes from me or anyone that works around you, you can see a lot of I always saw from Marie to Alvin and to Alvin to you, there's always a passing on of information and behaviors and all that. But I can really and kudos to you on already being in the position that you are and leading in such a positive way, is that you're already identifying at your vision and your way of leading, right? But you've got those past experiences that you can lean on. That's right. But you're already you're starting to pave your way through, right? So congrats to you. I appreciate that. So. Good mentors, good leaders, and strong family values is definitely hard to not keep, I guess, in your back pocket when you need them, right? So hopefully my goal will be to try to pass those things down to my kids, and I think just every day by being with them as much as we can. When I get home, the phone goes to the side, and we try to put the focus on every weekend and time that we have to spend together, because the business, obviously there's commitments that outdoor functions, or I need to go somewhere out of the country or just out of the province, etc. Know that there's time that can be missed. So when you're there, you gotta be able to spend time with them and pass those family values down as much as you can.
So one thing, we're talking about the homecoming and all that, and for people that don't know, it's that big trade show that we go. First time that I went this year, it was so cool, because we're 1,100, 1,200 dealers, and it's you kind of get a better understanding of the culture, and then you also, you see that support from corporate and all that, and we're going into the one this year in September. Is there anything you're looking forward to, especially last year I think it was more so coming back from COVID, the first one and all that, and it was really like rah rah rah, which
Yeah,
is like, you know, it's great and all that, but
better
you know,
food.
they're really focused.
Better food.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, I think they figured that one out.
The cows won't be alive this time.
Yeah.
So.
I think they figured that out. They said that was their first priority, so that was good.
Was there anything like, you know, like on my end, I was really happy to kind of put the faces to the emails and stuff like that. We just took on Beaver Home, so I was happy to get introduced with the people that were there. But just the overall, like just the sheer size of everything. We got to land Big Green Egg, which was super great.
Good.
That was like our goal of ours.
That was
like, you know,
yours.
maybe I'm not coming back home if I don't get this.
Sure, we would have brought you back home anyway.
I could have walked, right?
Yeah, no, we. I mean, it's not the same buying show at all. What it used to be.
Right.
Home is going from Home is going through a complete change and modernizing the business, and really going from a
sort of like all the stores can be independent on their own and kind of
exactly. They're going from a wholesaler and they're going from a wholesaler with into an integrated retailer, right? So it's such a big journey and so much change, and there's just so much history that, you know, it's a very hard balancing act that they both need to. That they really need to watch on what they do. They have to look at the history, but they also have to look at the future. And it's Kevin and his team are on a tough journey, and I think that they've done well so far, and there's still a lot of hurdles ahead. But like you said, I think the buying show is definitely not what it used to be. It was really more of a buying show, like I just said, and now it's really more of a integrated retailer store. How can I better my store? How can I better my customers' experience in my store? What programs make sense that for my market that I want to implement in my store? So they do all the research, they do all the analytics. They have people that are skilled buyers and product managers that are there now, and then we are able to walk in and say, okay, I want to focus on this in the next year on these 2-3 categories, and just focus on 1, 2, or 3. Don't take too much, because obviously you can eat a sandwich more than one bite at a time. And really just, you know, and go there and get all the right products at the right place at the right time, just like what you want in your store. So it's really changed, and I think I'm looking forward to really connecting with dealers. I find when you get there's a lot of sometimes you think in your store that all of my opportunities or that I have, they also have them as well, right? And like they're going through the same struggles or the same, tough things that you are. And sometimes you can say, okay, well, share the experiences. I've done that, or I've gone through this, or I haven't gone through that yet. And you can go back and forth, and really, it's a good time to kind of reset for everybody and look at the past year and reset and come back for the next year, right? So.
Listen, it is past my bedtime.
Oh, and, is it? 28, okay.
And, we have to get up early tomorrow morning.
We do.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
Hopefully on my end, I'm hoping to be here for many years to come, and I'm sure you'll be the leader for our stores and many other stores, hopefully down the future for a very long time. So thanks a lot, my man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Great job.